It takes a certain kind of person to make it as a prosecutor in Sicily. An unusual kind of passion to want to race at 300 kilometres an hour. And something stranger still, to make you chase a career as a sperm trader. 3 very different motivations, 3 extreme jobs. Clocking off for the day takes on a whole new meaning when it's your job to fight mafia crime. This isn't so much a job as a potential death sentence. As soon as you leave the security of your office, you're a target. Mafia Prosecutor Ignazio De Franchisi is both top court judge and fugitive in his hometown of Palermo. The Italian mafia has around 20,000 members, and Sicily is a major stronghold. At work, Ignazio needs bodyguards and armed drivers.
The mafia always kills exactly at the moment when it recognises a strong engagement, a strong enemy. I can't exclude that I myself will be shot too. This is not paranoia, this is fact. We can't avoid an assassination attempt with the highly developed military weapons you only know from films. We can't avoid such an assault.
Given the 2 men who taught him his trade were murdered, Ignazio must be very self-motivated to stick at it. For 20 years, he's worked in the court of the town of Agrigento, 90 kilometres away from Palermo, to prosecute mafia criminals. 60,000 euros a year hardly seems payment enough.
The surroundings in which we have to work are fairly hostile. There are lots of intimidation attacks and lots of violence. I have no intention of giving up. We're doing the right thing for the whole community by fighting against the mafia, and we have to carry on. Even if nobody says thank you. Our investigation unit works well because we work as a team. You can't stand up to the mafia on your own. We do whatever we can.
Today is the anniversary of the death of one of Ignazio's mentors.
Giovanni Falcone has been my inspiration. He's had an amazing influence on me. He taught me the severity and seriousness of investigating and a great understanding of our state constitution. I will never forget the sense of fear when I arrived at the crime scene on the 23rd of May 1992, and I saw the pieces of the road that had been hurled in all directions. There was a crater right before my eyes, and I could smell the explosion in the air. It was a very strange smell.
The car bomb reminds him why he wages his private war. Ignazio spends most of the week in a safe house, away from his wife.
I feel guilty because my wife Germana has to live alone in Palermo, while I live here in Agrigento. But what can I do? It's a job I must perform.
To fight the mob, you need to be married to your job. The Italian mafia turns over 100 billion euros a year through extortion, bribery, and worse. It puts the risks taken by Ignazio and his bodyguards into perspective.
Ciao, ciao Peppe.
Ciao Cristian.
Dimmi.
Allora, a posto, ci siamo quasi. Enzo, Cristian, voi andate fuori in macchina. Dai, che oggi è un altro giorno. Può essere lo
The thing is that here in Palermo, there could be a madman anywhere. We're in the line of fire. We know that we risk our lives. Just like the public prosecutor and all the other people who are sentenced to death by the mafia, we are automatically sentenced.
Ignazio can't help but feel responsible for the men who work to protect him.
Being escorted is a great strain, so we try not to drive from Agrigento to Palermo and back too often to avoid unnecessary risks. I'm looking forward to seeing my family again and showing them I love them.
He can only afford to spend one night a week at home.
I think that the mafia bosses have become much more brutal again during the last years.
Justice is sometimes done. 7 leading mafia bosses were jailed in 1999. But any job satisfaction he might feel is overshadowed. Even dinner with the family is fraught with danger. The table is laid, but can he get from the car to the door in under 20 seconds? No amount of protection can save you from a bullet aimed at your head. Here's a man whose home is not so much a castle, more a high-security compound.
Come va?
Amore, va bene?
Insomma, pochino.
But the job does have one weird perk. A new recipe every week.
At the end of every interrogation, I always ask the mafiosi what their favourite meal is. A mafioso isn't from another world completely. And he is Sicilian too, and eats what we eat.
It's good he can still see the funny side, because the personal sacrifices have been massive.
I want to live with my family again in the future, as it's painful knowing that my daughters will have grown up without me, and I didn't have time, especially when they were small.
For now, he needs to stay focused on why he's chosen this impossible trade.
I wish we could live peacefully in Palermo without the sadness, without the bloodbaths, and without the tragedies that have ruled and still rule our life.
Staying this motivated for decades is practically a calling. But Ignazio knows that results mean playing a long game. If it's more immediate gratification you're after, sidecar racing is faster and less deadly, usually. But first, yes, there is a job out there where you can get paid for doing what comes naturally, and is completely legitimate. Calling all men between 18 and 50 with a healthy genome. The sperm trade needs you. Aarhus, Denmark, headquarters of the world's biggest sperm bank. And home to Ole Sku. At 51, he's the managing director of Ceros International. Ole certainly seems suited to his role as sperm trader. He was even in bed when he got his inspiration.
Well, it all started about 20 years ago. I waked up at night with a peculiar dream. I still remember the picture I had in my mind. It was frozen sperm in ice, in an ice world.
Almost 15 years on, the bank stocks frozen sperm from 200 donors, mostly Scandinavians, although nationality isn't the issue. Just a high hit rate and healthy babies. Meet Mr. X. His name and age are classified. He's a sperm donor with healthy genes and a healthy motivation.
The first reason is you can help a childless couple, and that's a good deed. So then you feel less selfish when you take the money that comes along, and that's the second reason, to get the money. And the third reason was, when I came down here the first time, was I would like to see if if my sperm was okay.
Today, Mr. X is off to the bank to make a small deposit. He does it 3 times a week. His real name and donor number are known only to Siros. Danish law forbids any contact between donor and recipient. A well-paid job that you don't need specialist training for? Sounds too good to be true. And it is.
It's somewhere in between sex and not sex, because it becomes a routine. So it's more or less a job along the way. It's not pleasure.
So, occupational hazard number 1. Getting aroused might become mundane. Plus, you need to be able to prove you're heterosexual, a non-drug user, and free from hereditary diseases. Clocking off after a few minutes on the job, you can collect around 70 euros per ejaculation. Up to 25,000 euros a year. Around 80% of all samples don't make it through the next stage, the liquid nitrogen deep freeze. Water is extracted from the semen and an antifreeze added to help stop the cells bursting at minus 196 degrees Celsius. It's the acid test for the sperm and for Mr. X. If his semen isn't up to scratch, he could get the sack. Immediately after freezing, a sample is defrosted to check for quality. Good sperm should move in a straight line. The faster, the better. Good news, Mr. X has super semen. 40 million counts per milliliter. He won't be struck from All's books just yet.
We have 2 different types of quality. The standard quality is with 20 million and the top quality is with 40 million. That's quite high, and of course there's a price difference.
Trading in sperm isn't for everyone. You carry the weight of expectation of thousands of childless people. In this job, mistakes cost potential lives. You can earn around 100,000 euros a year, but you'll need to be a trained scientist, entrepreneur, plus have the skills to manage a huge team of staff. Job satisfaction is enormous. Ol banks around 10,000 units of sperm a year. Just these tanks alone could repopulate the world. Siros exports sperm to 40 countries all over the world. With 10,000 pregnancies since 1991, Ol must be doing something right. Each sperm sample is quarantined for at least 6 months before being released for export. And after that, there's no knowing where it could end up. This is one business where customers have no control over the product, and where the sperm trader has no control over customer satisfaction. Ol's service initially gave cancer patients and men about to have a vasectomy the chance to freeze some of their sperm. But he realised there was a new commercial opportunity waiting to be exploited, exporting quality sperm to the world. He probably can't believe how much his job has evolved. But does it ever feel a bit like playing God?
We certainly don't need to have Superman donors. We just need to have ordinary persons. We don't need to make selection of the human species. We just need to have a selection of all kind of different donors.
Donors happy to give away a little bit of themselves.
I think in the future, when I see a child on the playground or playing football or soccer or just meet them somewhere, I'll maybe think if it's my kid, if it's a little blonde guy with curly hair, like when I was little.
So whether sperm trader or sperm donor, this is one area that offers well-paid careers without much risk, if you're so inclined. If your motivation is speed and you like getting your hands dirty, the next trade could be for you. This is sidecar racing, but be warned, it can make grown men cry. Leicester in the United Kingdom, home to some of the most die-hard sidecar racers on the planet. No one is in this game for the prize money, as you're lucky to break even. Ruth Laidlow is a 34-year-old mother, trained truck driver and sidecar racer. She's frightened of nothing, except going broke before the next race.
I can't leave it alone because even the people, they're just great people in sidecar racing, and the sport itself, it's just magic. It's excellent.
Kate Harrington is a sidecar mechanic. Aged 42, she's a motocross champion at club enduro level. Kate lives for her bikes. Race day at Mallory Park, 150 kilometres north of London. Time to fine-tune the brakes, connections, hydraulics and gears of the Yamaha Thundercat 600cc sidecar. It cost them €60 to enter the heat. The engine alone cost over $1,000 to rebuild for the race. Every biker has a sidecar passenger. Ian Simmons is 43 and was British sidecar champion in 2000. Prize money for that? None. Undeterred, Ruth and Ian battle gravity and nerves at over 250 kilometres an hour. Ian is less than 10 centimetres off the ground. Fatal accidents do happen. It's a strange thing to do for no pay.
You get nervous still, and you still sort of get the butterflies, which I think is quite healthy. But once the lights go, that's it. You're concentrating on what you're doing, and obviously trying to go as hard as you can go and get it right.
This kind of motivation can't be taught or bought. Ian recently almost lost a foot, yet today he's back on track.
Driver put us into a home-cool barrier, about 140 miles an hour. So I wasn't well for a long time. So I'm a bit nervous. A lot nervous. And a woman driver as well.
Ian's job in the sidecar is to shift his weight to maximise traction on the corners. Only aerodynamics and his great sense of balance will keep this little rocket on the ground.
From a passenger's point of view, you haven't got a lot holding you on. Obviously, it's only yourself and the handles, and they're the ones doing the acrobatics, moving about, keeping the bike stable. You don't want to be going flat out into somewhere without a passenger.
This is no amateur sport. Sidecar racing is a vocation and an addiction. You'll need commitment to be good and single-minded devotion to be the best. Kate has taught herself how to tackle any conceivable problem that the engine could encounter. Today, it's fixing an oil leak in less than 15 minutes. Now for the pre-race checks. It's a tense moment. Ruth's bike gets the thumbs up and it's off to the starting grid. This is no ordinary race. Ruth knows what's on Ian's mind. If he gets injured again, his career could be over. Heat 1. They're off to a cracking start. Then on lap 4, disaster. Into a chicane, Ian snags his bad foot on a curb. Ruth pulls out of the heat. It's agony, both physical and emotional.
Caught me toe on the rumble strip as I went through. And I had no control of my leg after that. It just jacked in. Well, that's it.
Is this the end of a 25-year career? And for Ruth, without a passenger, she may as well go home. Ian digs deep. He returns to the trackside after a medical to give it one more shot. Heat 2. They've got to finish this time. Laps and they've done it. With the prize money, they'll just about break even. Kate's reward is to take the winning machine home. The 97 Baker chassis needs a makeover before the next outing. Ruth and Ian got their 250km/h kicks and almost walked away unscathed. Three jobs, three personal motivations. Get rich on immortality in the sperm trade. Fast-track your way to poverty in a sidecar. But pay the highest price of all as a mafia prosecutor.